Hey, how's it going guys? Captain Kuba here and welcome to another God of War video. Now, I know many of you expect me to still be covering the latest God of War Ragnarok trailer. And while there are still a couple of interesting things there to discuss, I gotta be honest, they don't really interest me as much. Because I want to discuss something more meaty, with more substance. And what can possibly have more substance than God of War Betrayal? Okay, so for those who don't know, God of War Betrayal was an entry in the series released on mobile phones back in 2007. And when I say mobile phones, I'm not talking about these amazing things. I'm talking about these flippy flippies. That's why the game doesn't look very impressive. But still, what can I say? Sometimes I get the feeling that this new generation of gamers mostly cares about the graphics of a game. When in truth, there's a lot of games made with a really low budget that have something special to share with gamers. And God of War Betrayal has a little bit of this with the story. Because while the story is nothing to write home about, it still has an interesting mystery that Santa Monica Studios has never addressed. And that mystery is the identity of the assassin. Now before you ask, this game is indeed canon. Bruno Velasquez, the animation director at Santa Monica Studios, had said so recently. And on top of that, Marianne Krocek, the writer from all the earlier God of War games, worked on this game as well. So even though this game doesn't have the same level of character development as say God of War 2018, the story still matters. So when the story tells me that a mysterious assassin framed Kratos so the gods of Olympus would turn against him, you bet I'm gonna make a video about it. But before that, let's do a quick recap of the story. Chronologically, the events of God of War Betrayal take place after Ghost of Sparta. Kratos has just buried his brother Deimos and found out just how much the gods of Olympus use mortal beings as playthings. And by the time of God of War Betrayal, Kratos has reverted back to his ways of conquering, and now with his new God of War powers, he's more successful than ever. This angers some of the gods on Olympus, and so they send Hera's pet Argos to stop Kratos. Now even though Kratos and the gods didn't have the bestest of relationship at this time, Kratos doesn't try to kill Argos, he simply tries to trap him in the sewers of the city. But when he does so, a mysterious assassin comes out of nowhere and kills Argos. Later we learn that the assassin does this to turn Olympus against Kratos. His plan works as upon seeing the slain body of the beast, the Spartans assume that their lord Kratos was the one to deal the final blow. However, Kratos denies any involvement with his death. But this does not stop the gods of Olympus from growing more and more concerned with Kratos. Now a calm and reasonable Kratos would go back to Olympus to try and smooth things over with the gods. But at this point in his life, Kratos is far from being a calm and reasonable person. So he chases the mysterious assassin until frankly Zeus gets fed up with all the destruction he's causing, and so he sends Hermes' son Cerex to put a stop to it. Cerex implores Kratos to stop his destruction because his future on Olympus depends on it. Kratos, as expected, doesn't back down and kills yet another god. The game ends with the mysterious assassin getting away and successfully turning Olympus against Kratos. Now while the story does a good job at bridging the events between God of War 1 and God of War 2, it never answers the question that interests me the most. Who is the mysterious assassin? Whoever he is, he has to be somewhat powerful. Because if you really think about it, the assassin is the only character in this series that has been able to escape Kratos' wrath. Not even the king of the gods could pull this off. So at first I was really thinking outside the box as to who this assassin could be. Based on his clothes alone, I thought that maybe he was a demigod from the Persian pantheon wanting to get revenge on Kratos for interfering with their invasion years back. I also explored the idea that maybe this was Odin making sure everything was going according to his plan. But the idea I gravitated towards the most was the possibility that the assassin was the original Deimos from the secret cutscenes in God of War 1.
Kratos would become legend, but the story of his brother has gone untold. A child left in the mountains, he had died years before. Coming of age in the underworld, he had but one desire: revenge against the brother who deserted him all those years ago.
I really like this idea, but after doing some thinking, I realized that maybe I shouldn't be thinking too outside the box. Maybe the mystery of the assassin was nothing more than a case of alternate mythology in the God of War series. You see, one of the things I love the most about this series is how Santa Monica takes a well-known character or event from a mythology and still gives it to us, but in a creative and new way. For example, in Greek mythology, Zeus punishes Atlas for his involvement in the Great War by making him hold the heavens on his shoulders. But how this punishment came to be in the God of War series is slightly different. With the power of Helios in his hands, Atlas was planning to destroy the Pillar of the World, which, as you guessed it, had the purpose of holding the world. However, once Kratos found out about this plan, he was the one to condemn Atlas to forever hold the world on his shoulders. These two events are identical, but how Atlas got there is different in the God of War series. And I believe this is exactly what's happening with the assassin from God of War Betrayal. Although the game gives you a small hint as to who it could be, it never officially states it, because if you know who kills Argos in Greek mythology, you know who kills him here. In Greek mythology, Argos is also the servant of the goddess Hera, and in one of his most well-known stories, Argos is tasked by Freya to guard Io, a mortal lady who Zeus had taken a liking to. He chose Argos for this task because he had over 100 eyes, which would allow him to see Zeus coming from any direction. But Zeus, determined as ever to be unfaithful to his wife, commanded his son Hermes to kill Argos. Hermes did this by disguising himself as a shepherd and playing beautiful music for Argos. This would make him fall asleep and allow Hermes to easily kill the 100-eye giant. Now, when we look at the assassin from God of War Betrayal, we see that he's also wearing old and tattered clothes, which could be interpreted as shepherd's clothes just like in the mythology. But most telling of all that this character is Hermes is the speed at which he runs, which could only be achieved with Hermes boots. So much like Atlas' punishment, both the character and the event are the same as in Greek mythology. But the reason for why it happened is different in the God of War series. In Greek mythology, Zeus was just trying to get laid. However, in the God of War series, he was building a case against Kratos so he could overturn the edict he had previously made.
Zeus has forbidden the gods from waging war on each other.
Because by the start of God of War Betrayal, Kratos was already a god, meaning that Zeus couldn't openly attack him. He had to build a case against Kratos so all of Olympus would have his back if the time came to fight. And the gods were pretty much already on board. Poseidon hated Kratos for sinking Atlantis, and Hades hated Kratos for multiple reasons, the biggest of all being the death of his wife Persephone. The death of Argos was just a straw that broke the camel's back, which allowed Zeus to later betray Kratos. Now, even though the Hermes theory is the most likely, it has a huge problem. If this is in fact Hermes, then it would mean he brought Kratos face to face with his own son, despite him knowing that Kratos was a god killer. And not just that, he didn't even help him fight him. He just left him to die. This is the only part of the theory that makes no sense. Unless Hermes wanted his own son dead. Think about it, what is the one thing we know about Hermes' personality? He is extremely vain, or in other words, he is really into himself. From the God of War DC comics released back in 2010, we see the gods competing on a wager. The god whose champion would obtain Asclepius Ambrosia would receive anything they wanted as a prize. Gods like Hades and Poseidon wanted giant temples built in their honor. Hermes, on the other hand, just wanted statues of himself scattered all throughout Greece. He wanted this so both gods and mortals could see his beautiful face everywhere. So what happens to someone like this when a younger version of themselves starts to become a little too popular on Olympus? Even though the games never mention this, it's possible that Zeus and Hermes helped each other achieve their goals. Hermes helped Zeus with the framing of Kratos, and Zeus helped Hermes by getting rid of Ceres. This could be why Hermes is the only god from God of War 3 that doesn't give a reason for hating Kratos. Poseidon mentioned Atlantis, Hades mentioned Persephone, Hercules expressed his jealousy, but Hermes, despite having the greatest reason to hate Kratos, didn't bring up the death of his son once. This might be because in his mind, maybe Kratos helped him get rid of the person he saw as competition. So what do you guys think about this theory? Was the mysterious assassin Hermes? I know I provided a few compelling arguments for this theory, but the truth is, the identity of the assassin still remains a mystery. To my knowledge, Santa Monica has never confirmed who the assassin is. So if you're interested in solving this mystery, the best way to do so is by sharing this video. Let's get the ball rolling with this topic. Maybe we'll even get the writer of the game to confirm his identity. But if you think the assassin is someone else, make sure to leave your theories in the comments section below. Now before I wrap this video up, I personally wanted to thank my buddy Haydar for creating this amazing drawing. When I was outlining the video structure, I noticed there wasn't a single good image of the assassin that I could use for my thumbnail. So I reached out to him for help, and he created this amazing drawing of Kratos chasing the assassin through the streets of Greece. And the good news for you is that if you're a member of this channel, you can download this image completely for free. I'm doing this because I know a lot of you guys are always looking for new wallpapers, so this one might be just for you. All you have to do is go to my community tab in the channel and you will see a link to download it for free. And hey, while you're at it, go and follow Hadar. You might have seen some of his God of War fan arts before, and I'm sure you will continue to see them in the future. But if you ever need to commission art just like I did, you will always have a friendly artist ready to help you. Now, as always, I would like to give a big thanks to all of my members for supporting the channel monthly. People like Steve Hack, Vanderveer Beige, Connor Ruhi, Eman R, Ezra Imran, Zachary Powell, Roy Barkham, Dave Estes, Mighty Fox, Alexander Thomas, and so many more are honestly a big reason why I still have a YouTube channel. It's not that I don't like making content, it's just that working on YouTube is very unpredictable and difficult at times, so having these people help me out every month is really the best way to support the channel. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. I would also like to thank everyone who likes and shares my videos. I know it doesn't seem like much, but trust me, it really does help. And with that said, thanks for watching, and remember, go forth in the name of Ragnarok.